So I don't know if this is a continuation of my last video, maybe a deeper dive or a correction. Whatever it is though, we are still talking about gold. Okay, so I just posted a video of all the gold that I purchased in 2021. And I was trying to give a little bit of thinking as I went through it, but based on some very specific comments. Some comments asking what I did for a living to allow me to purchase $50,000 in gold in a year. It's pretty clear that I just didn't do a good job explaining things, so let's clear it up. I bought 6 ounces with standard income. That's normal work income. And to some people that would be a lot, to some people that would be a little bit. This is not a comparison, but that's what I can carve out personally from current regular income. And that was a jump from prior years. From 2008 to 2020, my standard purchases would add up to 3 ounces a year. I was buying quarter ounces a month. Those were the American Gold Eagles. And I was spending somewhere in the $400 to $500 range for each of those purchases. Anything outside of that, anything out of those standard purchases has always come from investment profit or some kind of supplemental revenue outside of normal income. And most years that would be just a few more ounces that way throughout the year. Last year though, it was 20. And again, none of this is about comparing. It could have been 20, it could have been 100. The point that I thought I needed to be more clear about after the last video is that I categorize those purchases. At the beginning of the year, I was planning to purchase a half-ounce American Gold Eagle as my base this year. And that choice, I guess that revolved around wanting to spend about $1,000 a month on gold. Now to me, that's savings. And I increased that this year because I'm watching inflation. This month's CPI numbers came in at 6.8%. That's the highest year-over-year figure in nearly 40 years. But we've known inflation was here for months. We've been talking about it for a while. We were talking about it last year. So going from $400 or $500 a month to $1,000 a month was mainly driven by just trying to stay ahead of inflation. It was also me trying to build my base back up because I did use some of what I had built up toward a real estate purchase not too far back. Now everything beyond that standard purchase, which again was that $1,000 budget, was funded by secondary income and profits. And half of that extra 20 ounces came from 2 months, March and September. The rest came sporadically as spot price and personal convenience allowed it. Once or twice, maybe even 3 times, I made purchases because of special releases for things that I wanted to feature on the channel. That'd be things like the Type 2 Eagle, the 2021 High Relief Mustang, and I guess probably the Lunar Tiger. And then if you looked at the remaining 6 or 7 ounces, I mostly just spread that out since I was able to get a better premium on 1 ounce coins than I was when I was trying to find those half-ounce coins. Premiums this year were a big problem, in particular on those half-ounce American Gold Eagles. It was just hard to find them for a decent price. So all that is to clear up the idea that I'm just sitting on $4,000 worth of extra income each month that I don't know what to do with. That's definitely not the case. And there were also a few comments asking me to expand on the financial levers that I'm pulling to be able to make those extra purchases. And I'm going to try to dive into that a little bit here too, but I need to make the disclaimer that this is not financial advice. You lose all your money if you take it as such. But I'll tell you what I do and what I've done that allows me to make these videos, throw a bunch of gold on the table, and to not get too worked up about price swings. First of all, and I think that this is important, I'm in my 40s. So I've had time to build up a retirement account. I've had time to buy some real estate. And just starting with that retirement account, I max out every tax-advantaged financial investment vehicle that I can. For me, it's an IRA and a 401k. So I max out the 401k as early in the year as I can, and then I average out that IRA contribution throughout the year. Now I have some auto trades just set up, so some of that capital just gets auto traded into indexes, but I control all trades in those accounts. And I don't know if that part would be good advice from somebody who's actually qualified to give it, but I think most people would say to start there, to start with those retirement accounts. I've been doing that for a while. And then on top of that, I trade in a brokerage account and I do okay. I also have some real estate deals that bring in some passive income, and I've been doing that long enough to at least be past the burden of that initial purchase expense and into cash flow positive territory, but not long enough to be able to just kick back and not have to work again. And then beginning in 2020, I started throwing some money into cryptocurrency. It's been a pretty crazy 18 months, 20 months, whatever. 2020, 2021 were definitely atypical in terms of investment returns. The fundamentals that I guess I would typically look at in the stock market that might signal something like a 15% return were actually returning something like 40%. And cryptocurrency doesn't really have any fundamentals to look at, but it was coming in well over that. 100% returns, 200% returns, 300% returns. They were all hitting often enough to make a lot of people think that that's just how it works. Now, I'm a lot more skeptical, but I did get my money in and enough of it back out at the right times to say that it's been a good year in that regard. So back to my base plans. That includes things like saving some cash, buying some gold, funding retirement accounts, and then all the other things like paying off a mortgage, car payments, college funds, etc. that your typical 40-something family guy might have. All right, so some of those things are paid off, but you get the idea. Because the savings comes first, though, and I'm relatively aggressive with it, I'm more comfortable speculating in the markets. I would not gamble with my kid's college fund, for instance. I wouldn't throw money at a meme stock if I didn't already have cash savings. I probably wouldn't buy cryptocurrency that I really don't know a whole lot about if I didn't already have a base of stable assets to fall back on if it were to go to zero. So I guess those levers that I'm pulling, and that's the word used in a specific comment, they're really just decisions on where to direct available income. Now for me today, that available income is outside normal income. Again, that's say like passive income or investment income. 20 years ago, it was saved income. Basically whatever I could get a hold of by not spending as much. So knowing what I know today, but traveling back in time to when I was 23, I'd be careful not to waste money at the bar. I'd be careful not to waste it unnecessarily on monthly subscriptions. Those subscriptions, they start out $20 here, $20 there, but they build up to hundreds of dollars burned every month. It's kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. So I would auto direct funds to an investment account in a way that it doesn't even hit my checking account, so I don't see it. And then I'm not tempted to needlessly upcycle lifestyle or just waste money in general. And as I was getting the money into those long-term investments, particularly the retirement account investments, I would be sure that I was saving as much as I could as well. And not just in cash, that's where gold comes back into play here. One of the reasons that I like gold specifically is that there are just so many things that you're going to need to rate a savings account for, everything from fixing a broken furnace to down payment on a house, even mundane things like a new suit or I don't know, like a motorcycle. But with gold, you're not going to want to sell off your gold unless you really need it. So fast forward to today, to older me, and I have a retirement account, a base of savings that lets me invest in things that are a little bit riskier. And when those investments hit, well, I don't need the profit to pay for a mortgage. So I'm able to buy some gold or parlay that into the next thing, maybe both. Now, I'm not a pro at any of this. That's really important to say. I stumble around with the worst of them, but I do think that I understand or at least have a plan for getting the order of things right. I don't invest what I can't lose, but on the flip side of that, I do have some income now that I can lose. Hopefully I don't. I hate to lose money as much as anyone. Maybe the better way to say that is that I have built up some revenue streams that give me some investment capital, and then I do the best that I can to multiply it. Does this make sense? I don't know how helpful it is, particularly because it feels like this is getting into financial advice territory, and I'm the last person that you'd want to get that advice from. I do feel like it's good context though after these last few videos. They kind of make it seem like I'm buying gold without much restraint, and I can guarantee that if I was having a bad year in the investment category, you'd be seeing plenty of restraint. Yeah, I'm practical if nothing else. I don't know what else I can say on the topic, so maybe we call it good there. The focus here is always going to be gold, so I don't want to get too far off track from that, but let me know in the comments if any of this stuff is helpful, at least once in a while. Otherwise, maybe just let us know what you're up to, whether or not you're buying, and what you think of 40-year highs for CPI. And while you're there, be sure to hit the like button if this is interesting at all. I've been told that I'm supposed to say that at the beginning of the video, but that just feels kind of awkward. Same goes for subscribing. Make sure you're subscribed if you'd like to see more on the topic. And if you're still here, thank you again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.